Welcome, everyone. We are delighted to have you here, and it is my honor to introduce our special guest, David Shin, who is going to be conducting our Easter service music tomorrow morning. And David Shin is the founder of Bachfest Malaysia. He is a fellow at the Bach Archive Leipzig, and he also is now a long-term visiting professor at Augustana University. And he is going to share with us his journey with Bach.
Great. So, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I didn't expect there's so many people, so this is good. It's like we are in a living room of a house, sharing some stories. And feel free anytime if you want to talk. You are also welcome. So I don't know how to start. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I come from Malaysia. That's where I was born and raised. And when I first came to the United States, I was already 20 years old. That's when I started to pursue my Bachelor of Music in piano performance. And at the time, I hated Bach. Well, maybe not hated yet, but maybe with some fear, I always tell people growing up, I remember in my high school, we have a music classroom. And behind the music classroom, there's Bach, there's Haydn, and there's Mozart, and there's Beethoven, or Austrian-speaking composers, right? And as an Asian, you look at this dead white man people, you have no connection. I'm not German. Well, I was actually raised in the Lutheran church, but I knew nothing about Bach at the time because in Malaysia, they don't do Bach in the church. They were already turning from singing hymns to contemporary music, so I was also playing the drums for 6 years and electric guitar a little bit. So Bach, to me, is always, you look at his picture, his portrait, it's like fear. He looks angry, he has this wig, and dead for many years. So, and then as a pianist, you have to play his music. I love Chopin, Brahms, Liszt, Beethoven even, yeah? Bach. And you feel like do you play the piano, keyboard? Yeah? Klavier? Spielen? Yeah, you know what I mean. Unglaublich. Unglaublich. So then the feeling of fear turned to hate. Because you feel like, how is it possible that another human being can write something so unbelievably difficult and challenging for another human being to play, right? What's the point of playing Bach? And it's so inexpressive. It's just everything is mathematical, Then I met my piano teacher in undergraduate. She is very old. A Jewish woman and very adorable, and she is also, I don't know how old she is now, she's still alive, but she was already very old, but very charming, like a grandmother. And one time I was playing in her studio, I was practicing Bach, and I was early, and she came in, and then she asked, what am I playing? Of course she knew what I was playing. I said I was playing Bach. And then she's like, why are you playing Bach so strict and so I say, wow, growing up, we learned that when you play Beethoven, when you play Liszt, you use the pedal, you take the time, but Bach has to be, it's German. And then I say, because Bach is not romantic. And my teachers say, well, if Bach is not romantic, how would he have 20 kids? So that changed a little bit of perspective. Then I went to Eastman. I'm so honored. My colleague, we entered Eastman the same year, 2010. We were in Eastman School of Music and for 2 years and for my master's. Even then, Bach to me is, my professor, the first year, I think Dr. Weiner, he did some St. John Passion. He invited all the conductors in the studio to sing in that performance, except for me. Maybe there were too many tenors, and even Katie was singing in it. I was in the audience. I was like, whatever, Bach. I don't care if I don't sing, but all my colleagues were up there. So even at the time, I had no understanding of Bach at all. I have no idea. It was not until my very last semester I was done with my degree recitals and everything. I had nothing. And Dr. Weiner said, why not you try to conduct a concert, maybe not for a choir, but for like individual soloists with some instruments? And I say, okay, then what would it be? Bach. Really? Bach? So, but as a young conductor, you want to build resume, you do anything. So I conducted my first Bach concert, and there was no way to go back because I tried to stay away from the Germans in the beginning because I cannot speak German, and I do the Latin work like Magnificat, you know, and but Cantata 191, Gloria in Excelsis Deo. But it was after I graduated, so I fell in love with Bach then, and then it was after I graduated, then I started to do some German cantatas. Oh, I tell you, for the first time in my life, I found that, so you know I was raised as a Lutheran. I was always very curious about philosophy. And obviously, I love music. For the first time in my life, I found that Bach music was that I'm able through Bach music to express and be full of myself, a complete. So in my philosophy, in my faith, and with my music is one thing. They're not compartmentalized. And since then, I have been doing Bach. There was 2012. So now it's already 15 years. So very grateful. Now, of course, this year already, I founded Bachfest Malaysia in 2015. And that's 2025. I'll tell you the story later about some very interesting stories, but that's about the background. And now people look at David Chin, the only thing I can do Bach and nothing else. But that's not true, you know. You know, people like to label you and put you into, I mean, it's okay. It's a free marketing, I guess. But I mean, I also love other composers. But you know, Bach, yesterday, I was so blessed. Yesterday, I went to the Boston Philharmonic concert conducted by Benjamin Zander, which I have seen his TED Talk and his videos. And were you there? Were some of you there last night? Well, they performed Mahler Symphony No. 2, which we also sang at Eastman. You know, the granddaughter of Mahler was there last night, only surviving granddaughter, and I got to speak with her, and we had a picture together. So I felt like it's all worth it. I mean, I love Emmanuel, but that, you know, that top it up. And the first question, so Benjamin Zander saw me, and he knew he's one of the advisor. The first thing he said, "Oh, I know you are coming to conduct Bach in Emmanuel." And he asked, "So, use 3 words to sum up your journey with Bach." So immediately I say, the first thing I remember, I say, unexpected. The second one was possibility, because he liked the word possibility, Benjamin Zander. You don't know, right? The art of possibility. And the third thing I say, persistence. Yeah, and I will tell you the story later. Some of the difficult, challenging, but also miraculous moments I have experienced through Bach in Malaysia. So these 3 things. And you know, Marina Mahler, I asked her, I say, is there any connection between Mahler and Bach? He's like, oh, our family love Bach. That's good. So, you know, even Mahler looked back to Bach. I mean, look, obviously I'm speaking from an Asian perspective, so I cannot offend anybody. It's impossible. I personally believe, now that I look, of course I'm biased, and it's okay. I look at Bach. I really truly think Baroque time, especially with the high Baroque German time with Bach, is possible the highest point of Western classical music. Why did I say that? Because look, in Bach's music, you have the Gregorian chant, you have the Palestrinian Renaissance counterpoint, and you have the most contemporary music of the time, the basso continuo, right? The opera style, Italian opera style, the French organ style, the German style. Everything, Bach put this into his music, and the style that kind of spanned across 1,000 years. And then the composers that came after, yes, they look back to Bach. But basically, all the things they did, they were looking back to Bach, including Beethoven, after Mendelssohn, right? And Mozart, although Bach revival didn't happen until after Mozart and Beethoven, but already we know Mozart, when he was writing his Mass in C, he was studying Bach. He was studying Bach, B minor Mass. We know Beethoven studied Bach. And, you know, you have all this composer looking back and including Bruckner, including Brahms, and all the way to Schoenberg, and you know, some people say even Beatles and the jazz musician. it almost seems like Bach, if we have to say Old Testament and New Testament, like the Bible, Christ is in the center. And in the Western music history, it's almost like Bach is that figure where no one was like this before and no one was like this afterwards. And I feel like it's just lucky that so blessed I got to meet Bach. So that's only introduction. So.
Well, I think we are very curious to hear specifically about the founding of the Bachfest Malaysia and this fascinating question about bringing this music to a Muslim country.
Yeah. I just give you a little bit of background what it means Muslim country in Malaysia. So I'm Chinese, I'm third generation Chinese, so 100% Chinese, from mainland China. And Malaysia is made up of three major ethnics. You have the Malay, so for your understanding, I'm just going to use it. So in America, if you look at Mexican people, their skin a little bit tanner, right? So that is similar to Malay. And then, but we have even darker skinned people like Indians from India. And then we have Chinese. So these are three major ethnic groups in Malaysia. However, if you are born a Malay, you are automatically a Muslim, you cannot choose. Okay, and the government is an Islamic government. So compared to the Middle East, we are more relaxed. But you cannot choose your religion if you are Malay. But if you are Chinese and Indian or other, you can choose. So I was raised as that's for a Lutheran, and we can proclaim that we are Christian. But you cannot do that if you are a Muslim. So yeah. So of course, you do public concert. We don't have big cathedral, beautiful like this, and we are a very young country. We were under British for a while, which we are actually grateful for. My grandma, if you ask her, she loved the British people when they were with us because, in Malaysia, the true enemy, at the time, not now, at the time was the Japanese. My grandpa almost got killed by Japanese. And this is part of the history that in the West, we often think that, it's just colonialism, white supremacy. Is not the case. You ask my grandma, because the British came and they built the school, they built the hospital, they built the system, which they didn't have before. And that was the gospel that they bring together with them. Anyway, so when the country was founded, it was Islamic state, so Islamic majority country. So in the public space, so we have one of the best concert halls in the world at the time in the 90s, in the Twin Towers. I don't know if you know, in Kuala Lumpur, there's the Twin Towers. The Germans love it. All the Germans come to Malaysia, they only see the Twin Towers. In the Twin Towers is the Malaysian Philharmonic Hall. Since 1998, when it was founded, no sacred music have performed in there. You have Bach, Brandenburg Concerto, you have Mozart symphonies, but they don't do the sacred works because, for better or worse, they see this sacred work. So in the West, you come to see Messiah every time in the Christmas time. It is just an art, a piece of art, right? You think it is. For better or worse, in Asia, some countries take it literally. So when you are doing this, which was actually the way Bach composed. Bach didn't compose this for the concert hall. It was for the service. It was for the faith, yeah? But now it becomes just the art. But in Malaysia, whether the Muslim or the Christian, they still view it as something that to express the faith. So we are not allowed to perform. I haven't had the chance to conduct in my own country's concert hall because of that. But we are very professional. We have performed together with Emmanuel Music last year in June in the church where Bach wrote this music. And that was very special, but not in my own country. So every time when I have to put together a concert, we will rent like an assembly hall. We have to rent the chairs, we have to rent the light, and the money, it's difficult. It's from zero. I have to climb up sometimes to do the light, and then we have to think about how do I promote the concert, and you can't have government funding because, you're singing about Jesus. So you have to go to private donors. So I tell people, I have a doctorate in music, I have a senior fellowship, but what I do most, I'm a professional beggar. Beg for money. This is not what I wish to do when I went to Eastman School. I want to become a conductor, I want to become, But that's what you have to do in Malaysia, and I kind of have accepted that. So I was sharing over lunch with Pam a little bit during the pandemic. So I was in the States from 2005 until 2019, and then the pandemic came, my contract was over, so I went back to Malaysia, and I was kind of stuck there. I was in Germany for a while, and at the time, I went through some challenging time, I look at my friends in the United States, I look at my friends in Europe, some of my good friends. Why can they sing from cathedrals to cathedrals, from churches to churches, concert halls to concert halls? Why am I in my bedroom trying to figure out how to raise money? I have been to one of the best music schools in the world. I'm an entrepreneur. I gone above and beyond and founded Bachfest Malaysia. I work very hard. I always make things happen. But why do I deserve to, why I work so hard and the reward is so little? To a certain point, I even blame God. I say, look, God, I have done all I can. Is this what you give me? Is this what I deserve? It's your fault. You let me born in Malaysia. You let me fall in love with a dead white man composer that is not very popular in the United States nowadays, and you are the one that make me in this difficult situation. I'm unhappy. So that was the time I had this feeling. And at the time, that was the time when I was also translating the Bach biography for Michael Mall, and I will tell you how I meet Michael Mall is also a miracle. And I also produced a documentary film, so I learned a lot about Bach's life. And I suddenly have a realization one day, Bach, like you, like me, like Pam, like everybody sitting here, we have one thing in common. Do you know what that is? Well, we are all human beings, obviously, but Bach is not God. The one common thing is, none of us get to choose when we were born, what situation we are born into, what country. No, we cannot choose. No one, hey, I asked for your permission. Can I give birth to you to this time? No, we came to this world without a warning. So was Bach and all these great people that we study in history. And that's the time I realized, look at Bach's life. He was constantly trying to get away from Leipzig because he had this horrible, he didn't have a good employer. The town council constantly having conflict with him, and he was unhappy. And that's the reason why he wrote the B minor Mass, the first, the Kyrie and the Gloria. He was trying to get a title to protect him. He was not happy in Leipzig. Today we look at Leipzig as this pilgrimage, Bach pilgrimage, we have to go there. He was trying to get away from it, and his job, and oh my gosh, if you read David Gordon's book, the Little Bach book, the hygiene at the time, people took shower once a month. And there was shit everywhere. That was really in the city, it was dirty, filthy, and the water cannot be. You know why Germans like to drink beer, even the little kids at the time? Because the water was not clean. It's not that because they love to drink. Well, I'm sure they love to drink too. Because the water was not clean, the beer was the way to go. I don't think Bach wanted to live in that time. I don't want to live in that time. But with all this limitation in his life, I was sharing with the singers this morning, you look at Bach's, how many works we have of him today? A total of 1,128 works we know that we have of Bach. There are some lost ones. Of all these works, 1,128, there is not a work you feel like, well, this is okay. That one is better. No, every single piece is a masterpiece. And you realize, if Bach in such situation, he can give his best and write such music, what have I to complain about? You and I sitting in such beautiful cathedral in air conditioning and talking about Bach, this is the luxury that he didn't have. And even light, things we take for granted. Bach time. I was in Germany for a while. In the winter time, 3 o'clock, 3:30, 15:30, there was no more sun. Bach had to take care of his children, his family, and the kids in the St. Thomas Church, make sure they behave, and then he has to teach Latin, he has to rehearse, he has to meet with the town council, he has to compose. Where comes the time he has to compose? In the first 5 years, he composed 1 cantata every Sunday with candlelight. That's why in the end he died with the eyes and then has a stroke. And that's when I realized, David Chen, you have no right to complain. You are in much better situation than Johann Sebastian Bach, and he has composed 1,128 works. What have you done with your life? And that's changed my perspective completely, that I don't like to fundraise. I don't like to do a lot of administrative work. I don't like this, I don't like that. It's struggle. But it's a calling. You have to accept it. In human, I mean, even outside of music, outside of vocation, you think about as a human being. The first step to success and progress is not complain. I know we complain a lot. The first step is accept. Accepting who you are, accepting who others are. Then we can go from there. And that's what I learned from Bach's life. So that's how I founded Bachfest Malaysia. Basically, in 2015, I realized there's so many professional musicians. For example, our concert master, she is a tenor violinist in the Royal Swedish Opera House. And we have many really high-quality musicians in Malaysia, but especially the singers, they are not paid in Malaysia at the time. And I founded Bachfest Malaysia. I say, everyone have to get paid. From where? I mean, I'm not from a wealthy family. My parents were already bankrupt when I first came to the States. And so I have to go find money. I have to learn this. And how did I learn that? Is go back to Eastman. So very quickly, I tell you some interesting story. These stories have to do with number 5. Okay, so hang on with me. My very first St. John Passion concert, how did it came about? So it goes back to 2013. I was already done, 2014 or 13, when I was done with my master's. I was still in Rochester, New York, because I got a job. It was 1 year, they paid me $5,000, an adjunct position. I came back for this job because in Malaysia, there was no opportunity at the time. I came back to the US for a job that pays me $5,000 per year, not per month, per year. And I got a car that cost me $6,500. Okay, that's the beginning, but it's the first time I feel that my life was quite disjointed because, you know, from kindergarten, primary school to secondary school, you have a schedule in college, even in a master's degree. Suddenly, I'm teaching 2 classes. I have nothing else to do in my life. I got a little bit depressed. So I thought, well, David, you chose to come back to the United States for the opportunity. So why not you do something? So next to my apartment was a Lutheran church. And I got to know this guy the music director who was also an Eastman graduate. He said to me, anytime you want to do a concert here, you can use the church for free. I have a harpsichord, you may use it for free. I can sing for you for free. I was like, that was Pablo. So I was like, well, great, I should start a concert series. That's what I did. But even at the time, I say, I have to pay my musician. I can't just have people play for free and sing for free. So I started to learn how to ask for money and all that, right? So fast forward. So we have in Eastman Rochester Chorus, a community chorus with about 130 people. They usually sing the symphonic work. It's a community people and students. So during the break of the rehearsal, people will come up and give some announcements. So for example, oh, we have a fair here, we have garage sales or something. And this old woman, I did know her very well. She came up, her name is Joanne. We were friendly to each other, but I don't know her very well. She came up, she made an announcement. One day she said, if you all are looking for someone to type a document, I know someone can do the job for $20 per hour. You know, I'm very nosy. I was curious. So I went up to her after rehearsal. I say, Joanne, who is this person? What's up with this? And then she said to me, well, you know, I'm a widow and I'm living in the facilities and now I have no money to pay and I'm alone. So I'm trying to make some income. Oh, my heart just suddenly. And you know, and I make $5,000 a year, I have no money. But at the time, I thought, okay, I write her a card, and instead of giving money offering to the church, I say, I will give $50 to her in the card. And of course, $50, what can you do? I can save her life, but maybe some groceries or something, and it's very little, $50. I put the $50 note in the card, I give it to her. I didn't think it was a big deal, but to her, it was such a big deal. Soon after that, she got admitted into the hospital. Then when she came out from the hospital, it was my very first Bach concert at Eastman. She came to that concert. It was 3 Bach cantatas. And she was very moved. And the next day she said, can we go out to lunch together? I said, sure. I paid for the lunch. I remember she got a French onion soup. And she came, again, I still didn't know quite well who she was. She came to the lunch, she brought tons of brochures. I saw St. Matthew Passion, St. John Passion, Bach, 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 Bach. And apparently Rochester, New York had a Bach festival for many years, and then it stopped. In the 60s, 70s, they have a Bach festival. And then she asked me a question. She said, if there is a Bach work you would like to conduct, what would it be? And at the time I said, I would like to try St. John Passion. I've done several cantatas. Now I would like to do St. John Passion. I only knew she was the board member of what used to be the Rochester Bach Festival. And they have $7,000 sitting in the bank that was not used. And she called all the board members who have been active for 10 years to convince them to let me use the money to do my first St. John Passion concert. That's how I conducted because I gave her $50. This is the first story. Second story, also have to do with 5. It's crazy, yeah? When I was in Germany the first time, second time. So I graduated now, fast forward, as a master, as a doctorate. I took a trip to Germany with my friend Miles. It was during the time of Bachfest Leipzig. So we also went to Austria, but by the time we planned the trip, all the tickets have been sold out because this was 2018. My friend Michael Mao, my now friend Michael Mao, and he is the artistic director of Bachfest Leipzig. He became the artistic director that year, 2018. And in this 10 days festival, the first 3 days, he invited John Elliott Gardner, Ton Koopman, Rademan, Suzuki, and also the Thomaner Choir from Friday to Sunday night, 10 concerts featuring 33 best Bach cantatas. Of course, the tickets were sold out. I said to Miles, my friend, okay, let's just go. We go to some services and eat some nice food, then we go to Vienna. We don't have to do the concert. So we still went there the day before the festival, went to the box office. And we asked this person, do you have any tickets left? We can sit in back seats, it's okay. This guy said, oh, we have this, we have this. 5 minutes before you arrive, there was a gentleman came by, returned not 1, but 2 sets of premium tickets to all the cantata concerts. Would you like to pay them in cash? 500 euro. I just graduated. I mean, Miles is more well-to-do, but I didn't care. I ran to the bank, took out 500 euros with surcharges, and went to the box office. Bought those. I looked at Miles, I said, this must be for us. It's a premium seats, yeah? Premium. So very good seats. And the next day, I sat next to the artistic director of Bachfest Leipzig. I didn't even want to talk with him, but he turned over, because I'm Asian, right? He just became the artistic director. He's very curious why Asian turned up in a German festival. So he's like, where are you from? I'm from Malaysia, we do Bach. And he was just mind-blowing. So that night I got invited to the VIP tent. We got invitation to perform in Leipzig 2020, but of course the pandemic came, so it was last year we went. And that led to my documentary, the book that I translated, and also eventually I became the senior fellow. So look, friends, what I'm trying to tell you is, there's so many stories I can tell you. You see, that was 50, this was 500, so maybe the next one is 5,000. I look back to my life. I'm a professor now. If I were to grade myself musically, what grade would I give myself? I'm not an A+ musician, I know that. I'm not even an A-. I would say I'm a B+ musician, okay? And I'm very secure about myself, so I don't need your validation. B+ it is. Now, but I know I have many other abilities. I'm a great leader, I'm all this, right? I work very hard. But looking back to my life, from how in Malaysia I was born, and I was as a Lutheran, and then my parents were bankrupt for some reason, I could come to the States, and then I got a scholarship to the Eastman, and then I met my professor, and I fell in love with Bach, and then now this German connection and blah, 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 blah. None of this is because I work hard so much. And none of this is because my ability. Yes, I need those ability. I need my talent. And that's when I really have my faith in God, is I realize the way have been prepared and I have to be ready. And that's when, now, when I face challenges like this summer, you know how much money I have to raise? 375,000 US dollars. And you want to know how much we have in the bank now in Bachfest Malaysia? It's not even 3 figures. And that was the same last year, that was the same the year before. And we have no corporate donors, we have no all this. But every year, somehow, something worked. I mean, I don't have to go into details, you already know this story. So my lesson is that I look at Bach, I look at all these great people, Martin Luther and all these people, is that you have to accept, I have to accept I'm not Suzuki, I'm not John L. Gardner, I'm not in those situations. Bachfest Malaysia is not Emmanuel. I have to accept that. You know, we would die with happiness if we have this space to do Bach every week. You know, but I have accepted very joyfully. And you know, you look at these Bach cantatas. That's why when I do Bach cantatas, it's not just music. This text about despair in life and how despair turned to joy, sadness to joy, despair to hope, darkness to light. It's always towards the positive, towards the light. And these cantatas, they have become my chicken soup. They have really become the pillar, the strength of my life, and to kind of play into my faith and how I live my life. And I tell you, and this is just incredible, and I'm super grateful. You know, yes, with a lot of limitation, you know, but so grateful. And you know, we have German friends here. I used to say to my German friends, I say, look at you. You went from undergrad to master's to doctor. The government give you funding and you have no problem finding a job. You have security. You have beautiful apartment that was like 1,000 years old. And here we are, Malaysia, only 70 years old or something like this. And then you have this and that. So if I was born in Germany, my life would be so great. Then my friend said to me, look, if you were born in Germany, yeah, you can do Bach and you can do Bach very well, but you are just another conductor. But today you are born in Malaysia and you do Bach in Malaysia. That what makes you special? I'm sure that also why you came to this talk. If I'm just another American dude talking about Bach, maybe you wouldn't be here. You are just curious. Oh, this guy in Malaysia, Muslim country. Oh, he's doing Bach. Oh. You know, and. So I also was, I don't know, I was saying to you or someone else earlier, you know, the 3 things we seek in life, also the biggest temptation. Do you know what? What do people want in life? Don't tell me faith, and so it's like secular-wise. Why do you work? Money. So if you have a lot of money, what do you have? Health? Yeah, well, you guys are good people. So. Okay, I'm just gonna call out the elephant in the room. Money, power, and sex. These are the 3 biggest temptations. Yeah? Money, power, and sex. Now, I don't think they're bad things. But I have learned that so often we chase for these 3 things, but they are just the means. They are not the ends. If these 3 things are the ends, I think we are in trouble. But if these 3 things are just the means, then I asked myself, what are the ends? Then I came out also with 3 things. Purpose, meaning, and impact. And that's what I think I have been called through Bach music to do with my life. I mean, honestly, I don't know what is this beyond July with Bachfest Malaysia. I don't know if it is still going to be there, but at the moment, I'm doing it with good faith. So we'll see. Maybe it's the last year. Maybe it's just the beginning. And it's okay if it's, you know, we will. So that's more or less what I'm doing. I know I'm a little bit everywhere, sorry.
No, it's fantastic. Would you like to take some questions? Do we have any questions for David?
Maybe I play this video.
Great.
So you have a little bit of idea what we do in Malaysia. Then you have some question. You can, yeah. So right before you fall asleep, please. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Manuel Berwald. I'm a Bach scholar from Leipzig and I brought some very special materials with me. I would love to show you all these materials here in Malaysia. There are facsimiles of Bach cantatas, there are original prints from Bach's Leipzig time, and we put up an exhibition here in Kuala Lumpur.
Join me as we travel through some of the most important landmarks where Bach had lived and worked.
It's the largest organ in entire Saxony.
What? I will be speaking with scholars, researchers, historians, and directors at various venues where Bach's compositions were first written and performed.
If there is any bad guy in Bach's biography, then it was this guy.
We will take close looks at some of Bach's original manuscripts to identify his handwriting and discover his compositional process as well as performance practice at the time.
Johann Ambrosius Bach, the father of Johann Sebastian, had paid taxes for the house over there.
How Bach became one of the greatest composers, or perhaps the greatest composer of all time. You will find the answer if you join me in encountering Bach.
Ladies and gentlemen, meine Damen und Herren, good evening and welcome to our concert. In an orchestral suite, usually there are fast pieces and slow pieces. How about we play for you a more lively piece now from the orchestral suite? How about a gavotte? Wow, you sounded wonderful. I wish I could take all of you back to Leipzig, Germany with me. Would you like to come with me? And show the St. Thomas Boys Choir what Malaysian choir sounds like. You sounded wonderful. Down, out, up, 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 down, out. Recently, I fell in love with this Italian composer. I wonder if you have heard of his name.
Who is that?
His name is Antonio Vivaldi. Do you know him? You know Antonio Vivaldi.
I know.
Yes.
Vivaldi. I think he's most famous for his Four Seasons, right?
Ah, you mean the violin concerto, Four Seasons? Yes, the first concerto in the first movement. Wow, there's this beautiful sound of spring. And then you will hear these birds singing to each other. There are 3 birds total. And then after the birds, then you hear the river. It's a wonderful piece. I think we should perform for you. Of what we have done in the past 10 years. I mean, if you find yourself have nothing to do this July, we are organizing the very first international Bach festival in Asia, the first one in Asia, from July 23rd to July 27th. There will be a forum discussing Bach in Asia, why Bach in Asia. There will be a performance of Goldberg Variation, a solo violin partita concert, 2 performances of St. Matthew Passion performed by Daniel Johansson, which is the top Bach tenors now in the world, will come from Vienna. We will do a jazz Bach concert, not JS, but jazz Bach concert, so an arrangement of Bach in jazz. Also, we have the first Southeast Asia Bach competition. The first 3 winners will perform in Bachfest Leipzig in 2026. So if you are looking for still a destination for vacation this summer, please consider Malaysia. Then you can come to the festival. Our program is mainly afternoon and evening. In the morning you can go, it's right in the center of touristic stuff. And then you can extend your trip to go to the island or beaches or things like this. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are many other stories, but you get a feeling of what it is like. You know, I would never imagine all this in 20 years when I was in school with Katie. you know, you always want to be that maestro in front of a big symphonic orchestra, and life turned out like this, and I accepted it, and I want to embrace it, and now I just think just keep doing, and so, yeah. Do you have any questions, or I don't know? Yes, sir.
What is the ethnic mix of your performers in Malaysia?
Yeah, good question.
The ethnic mix of your audience?
Very good questions. I will answer the two questions. So as you can see, mainly are Chinese. They are mainly Chinese. In 2019, I was actually, we needed a double bass player, and we have a very, very good Malay double bass player, and he's actually quite a conservative Muslim. But he's open to, and he went to Leipzig with us, but he's open to playing this work because he loved Bach. And he said to me, please don't put my name on the program, I play for you. So, you know. Of course, after the pandemic, he went to Germany with them. And listen, like, to me, I think Bach music is a bridge, right? So by the way, our festival this year is called Bridging Bach. Look, a Muslim in Malaysia, how would he ever have the intention or opportunity to perform in a church in Germany? And he did, and I think he said that was one of the most special moments of his life, to perform at the church where Bach used to work, and you know, we were all like crying and very moved. So audience-wise, we are not a religious group, so anyone can come, right? If you're Muslim, but we have had some Muslim in the audience. But I want to tell you a story. In 2019, we did the first complete St. Matthew Passion in Malaysia. So what you saw, the assembly hall was in capital city. You know the capital city of Malaysia? Anyone? Kuala Lumpur, yeah? So people are used to going to concert there. But the same year, there was another town. It's not even a city, it's a town, small town. We had some friends there, they said, you should come and do St. Matthew Passion here. And this is the town where there was no Western classical music being performed. And I say, we have to sell 800 seats. How is it possible? Alles auf Deutsch for 3 hours, German. But they say, try it. I said, okay, I say, it's going to be hard, you know, we need money to bring 50 musicians to this town. To our surprise, 1 week before the concert in Kuala Lumpur, we sold 2 nights combined 99 tickets. In this town, all sold out. You know, I still don't believe them. I say, look, these people have nothing better to do. It's their only social event, probably. So, of course, they're buying the tickets. It's not cheap, but they buy the tickets. And look, they are going to, halfway through intermission, half of the hall will be empty. I thought it was going to happen. Of course, we sing everything in German. As you can see, we also involve the audience to sing together, and those are in either Mandarin or English. And we put the super title, right? So in this town came this performance day. We can only start at 7:30 because people get from work. And you know how long is St. Matthew Passion? 3 hours, yeah? So, and my tempo is quite quick, but even that, you can't cut it to 2 hours, you know. And so 7:30 we started. And here came, after part 1, the intermission came. And I said, just wait, just look. These people are leaving, these people are leaving, these people are leaving. And our ushers told me, only 2 couples left, 4 people left. Everyone stayed. Okay. Maybe they have put the money in, so they want to make it worth, you know. I still don't believe them. And they stayed. I remember after the last chorus, I went in, I looked at the clock. It's 10:25, way past their bedtime. You know how many curtain calls I got? 5. Now, that's not the most impressive thing. I'm still answering your question. That same evening, this really was moving. Our co-workers sent us a snapshot of a Facebook post. This guy in his mid-50s, he came to the concert. He was invited by his niece, I think. And he's a Buddhist. And he is quite an influential person in the town. He said, after the concert, he wrote, and you know, to me, these people in this little town, they are so uncultured. What do they know? You know, they don't know anything about music. So they're just going to be like, oh, they dressed very nicely. Oh, they sang very high notes. Oh, they were pretty. So this guy, he was interesting. He said, obviously it was his first time listening to the Miraculous Passion. And he said, of course, they, oh, tonight we have a wonderful night. The Malaysia Bach Festival singers and orchestra, they sang so well under the direction of David Chin. But what captured me was the last paragraph of his post. He said, he is Buddhist in his 50s. He said, after listening to Bach's St. Matthew Passion for the first time, I found that I have underestimated the suffering of Christ my entire life. And he said, when Christ, and he went on, so he's not just like the, so he went on, he said, when Christ was being betrayed and persecuted, he chose to remain silent. You know, when I saw this post, I mean, I don't think he was converted to Christianity or something, but when I saw this post, I was like, you know how we always think that Western music or something is, this is Chinese in Malaysia, have no any, you know, like me, but I truly believe it's universal. You know, I don't care if it's written by a dead white man, because the language, the feeling, the life, I mean, ultimately, if you take away our skin, you take away our historical background and everything, we all have the same desire, hope, love, all these things are the same. People in Africa, in India, in Malaysia, in the US, in Europe, that's the common thing. And this Buddhist, what he heard from this concert was that he was in the music immediately, just as Bach intended. Bach wrote this music because he wanted to get the message across. And what I felt is so convenient for me as a Christian is, I'm a Christian, I'm a musician, I do my job right, then the message will get through. I don't have to do extra thing to it. And I also learned that when you hire the best singers, the players, you are in a good hall. Music then is not a distraction. Music is there, and the message comes through, and that's why Bach wrote this music. And as a Christian, what I find is so privileged is, now I'm here fellowshipping with you. We are here with maybe something common because we may be curious or love Bach. We love music. But we are in the same space and same time. But what I find now in my work is I get to have fellowship with Johann Sebastian Bach, who lived 300 years ago in a different space, different country, different situation, but I can kind of understand him. That is very special, and that's what I tell my students. And Bach, when he wrote St. John Passion, he used the text from 1,000 years ago by the disciple. So you know in church, sometimes you read the fellowship of the saints. It's not just in the same time, but like across time. I mean, how special is that? I mean, how can I go back to not doing Bach? It's timeless, and it's so I don't think this is a distinctive German music or white privilege music, or I don't think so. It is something that is written by another fellow human that obviously has stood the test of time, and I have the privilege as a Southeast Asian to get to know them. I mean, I often think about these folks in North Korea, or maybe in China. I was in China in January. Do you know nowadays in China, if you are under 18, you're not allowed to be in church building. And in school, you have to sign a statement saying that you are not subscribed to any religion until you are after 18. You can't declare your faith. And when I was there, I saw the police came in to check in the church, just like this gathering. The police will come in and make sure there's no kids in the church. And they can't perform. They admire us Malaysians so much. We get to do passions and all this sacred music. They can't publicly do this. And, you know, here in America, wow, it's different. Yeah, in Germany, it's different. So I guess we all have our struggles and our thing, but in the end, I am grateful. I think you should too. The fact that we can have the privilege to enjoy music written by another such superb human being who was not living in a perfect condition 300 years ago, that we can share something from that time. So special. Don't cry. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any thoughts about, of course, here, the cantata is not a concert,
No, I wasn't here last Sunday. But we do it as a concert too in Malaysia, not in a service, as a context of a service. I think it's okay. Why not?
No, but what I'm saying is here we're doing it in service.
Right.
And that's actually quite different than doing it in a concert.
That's right. That's right. We have also done that. I mean, if you go to in Malaysia, we are also done conductor in a service context. I think it's great. You know, that's how it was written. You know, maybe not exactly in an Anglican, this is an Episcopal liturgy, right? But why not? You know, it can also be as a concert because, you know, look, at Bach's time there was not concert halls. This idea of concert halls was in the 19th century, in the Romantic time when everyone wanted to worship hero, and that's also when you first have conductors standing in front of a group, Karl Maria von Weber, or this German, Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy, Louis IV. First time you have someone, and today we think that, oh, they're a dictator. But I mean, that time, people ate it all up. They want someone to worship. They want to put this composer on the pedestal. They want to worship someone. Because it was the time when you transition from socializing in church to socializing in concert halls. And concert hall become a place where people find their spiritual experience because they have a choice now. They don't have to go to church. And so, you know, Beethoven wrote the Missa Solemnis, right? You know, from the heart to the heart. And it was for concert halls. And somehow people find that is this almost religious because everyone gathered together and focusing on same thing. And so to me, now we are in 21st century, right? Why not? You can do it in concert. I mean, the convenience for me is, of course, personally, for me personally, I can speak for you. You can appreciate Bach so much more when you understand, you can live the text. But you can also choose to just, oh, beautiful melody, beautiful harmony, and that's fine, you know, or beautiful counterpoint, genius writing, that's okay. But if you really, so, you know, I always imagine when Bach was writing this, he must have felt something personally that he was able to, in his life, when his children were dying, you know, when his first wife died in Curtin, when he had to deal with all these people from the town council, I'm sure he has something, you know. So I think either way it's great, and the great things that we can enjoy all of it today. Yeah. And I said earlier, we are way more blessed than Bach. I can assure and guarantee you, the quality of Bach that we get to hear today, whether on a player, a recording, or in live, definitely, even performed by Bachfest Malaysia, definitely in a higher, better quality than what Bach would have heard himself. Mm-hmm. But yet, imagine this guy writing this glorious music week in and week out, and he knew that his voice is going to screw up. He knew that they're going to sing out of tune. He knew that they're going to play out of tune. He knew that it's going to be, the people are going to be talking in the church when he does this music. They're going to bring in animals, you know. Oh, there's farmers, they come from one side of the town to another, and the church was in the middle. I'm sure there was like cow, horses, I don't know. I imagine dogs. I'm sure people brought dogs into the church. Yes, there was writing about that. And people were bringing newspaper, taking a nap, socializing, I don't know, maybe smoking, I don't know. While the cantatas are being performed at the back. Regardless, look at the glorious music he wrote. He had this sound in his mind. What are we to complain about our life, my dear? We have so much, we are so rich, we're so blessed. And when in doubt, look at Bach. And, you know, I mean, Bach is not God, but he believed a God that he put his faith in to keep him going in his life. And I'm so grateful that that's the same God that I believe and I worship. And
we'll hope for a calm Sunday morning for tomorrow.
A what?
A calm Sunday morning tomorrow.
A calm.
We have our own little spirits, right?
Maybe the puppets will start moving.
Wow, it's Easter at Emmanuel, it's like nothing else, right?
I look forward to it. I mean, they are warning me about, oh, there's this, ooh. So don't surprise me. You know? I look forward to tomorrow. I hope you can join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
The service begins at 10, and the cantata is near the end. It's after the communion. So
Around 11.
Yeah.
Could I make a comment
Yes.
about that?
Yes.
Please.
People always hedge this way. The service begins at 10, but the cantata is at 11. If you come in at 11, you miss all of the motets. And very often the motets are as fine and moving as the cantata is. And you've lost the context.
That's absolutely true.
And the context is so powerful.
I agree with you completely. Yeah. During Bach's time, the service was 4 hours long. And we know some people came just for the music, some people came just for the preaching, some people didn't come, some people came for both. Yes, but I completely agree with you. And you know, I learned about this in Eastman, the most secular school, not a religious school, about how cantata and music play in the service of liturgical context. And I brought this back to Malaysia. It came a full circle. 2 years ago, they celebrated 70th anniversary, the Lutheran Church in Malaysia. So I convinced the bishop, who was my pastor as a child. I say, look, it's your 70th anniversary. Don't do the nonsense loud music. Do Bach. And you're going to pay for it. So we did 2 St. John Passion concerts, and we did a cantata worship. So we did 2 cantatas with a bunch of motets. It was 3 hours long because there was installation, blah, blah, blah. And there was a pastor. He was in his 50s. You know, nowadays in Malaysia, the Lutheran Church, they have disco lights. Good for them. I mean, that's what they go for. This pastor is in his 50s. I mean, he's charismatic, more, charismatic. I heard from another pastor, this is what he said. Oh, I didn't realize that service could be this way too. As a Lutheran pastor, I was like, oh, come on, my dear. You kidding me? And I was the guy who was like preparing for the liturgy, And many churches, they don't do liturgy anymore in Malaysia. The thing is boring, and they don't see the meaning. So I hear you, yeah? And I try to make this back to the context, collaborating with, but it's not easy. Yeah.
But absolutely, our service tomorrow will be incredible, and it's not worth at all missing the sermon, which is always one of the highlights here. So.
Yeah, and the procession. I don't know what to expect, but I heard it's something special. Yeah.
Unique, in fact.
I saw. There's going to be like Sesame Street coming in. A big bird. Any other question? We have 2 German friends here. So, yeah.
Many great songs wrote great music, so you compose great music to perform it too, but it's shown only Sebastian.
For me? I mean, last year I conducted Beethoven Missa Solemnis, and tomorrow we are doing a motet by Lassus. And I have done, when we're Eastman, I had to do Stravinsky. I don't like it, but I have to do it. Poulenc, all sorts. But Bach always feel at home. I wouldn't say this 20 years ago. Bach always feel at home. What? Bach really feels at home. It feels easy. My students, at Augustana, 2 days ago, they just performed St. John Passion. And half of them are not music major, never sung Bach in their life until they met me, bless them. 1 year ago, we started Augustana Bach Collegium, and every 3 and 4 bars they have to stop because they can't continue. They don't know how to sing it. You know how dreadful it was. And when they came back this February, 2 months ago, they sight-read St. John Passion. Auf Deutsch. I had to fix a little bit, the vowel. And these people's lives are going to forever transform. Not necessarily religiously, but the fact that they have to live through Bach music and it's so difficult and they conquer it and the fulfillment these young people feel by singing Bach. Not just something, not just, those are fun too, but it's not fun music. It's something, I ask the students, I say, look, you have done Bach music. It's not really taxing your voice. What is it required of you? There was a student who wants to be a lawyer. She is a law major. She's like, the brain.
You know, and you just feel like you become so much smarter when you play and sing Bach. It's really genius. It's crazy. You know, I think I found it. You know, I was blaming God. You let me fall in love with Bach. I think I found the best composer. You cannot go wrong with Bach. You know, I'm blessed.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
sharing.
being here. I hope I didn't waste your time, yeah? Thank you. I mean, I just hope I don't know what this do to you, but continue to enjoy Bach. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you very much. And we certainly hope that we'll see many of you tomorrow. And also, in about 2 weeks, we'll be doing the B minor Mass. And next Sunday, after our church service, we're going to have a special presentation by Christoph Wolff, one of the eminent Bach scholars. He will be giving us some valuable information about Bach's parody technique in the B minor Mass. So that's another wonderful lecture that we hope you can join us in. Thank you.
Very meaningful, the parody.
Yeah.
Christoph Wolff aus Deutschland. Ja, aber hier bei Harvard Universität. Thank you all.
Thank you.